All right, joining me now here on the Matthew Filipowicz Show is my good friend Julianna Forlano. Julianna is a stand-up comedian. She is also, of course, the writer and the host of the great web series Absurdity Today, which you can find at absurditytoday.com. You can also find her on Twitter at AbsurdityGirl. Julianna, thank you so much for being on the show again.
Thanks, Matt. Love the show.
All right. Well, so Julianna, you were recently, this last weekend, in Washington, D.C. for the giant rally against the Keystone XL Pipeline. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it down there, but I've seen some of your videos that you posted from there. Tell us about your experience. What did you see when you were in D.C.?
Well, once I could get my eyeballs to open against that freezing cold air, what I noticed was this really interesting juxtaposition between people who were there for a protest and who were really, rightfully frustrated and upset about what the state of our environment and what is either being done at a snail's pace or not being done at all. And then the ideas that were coming from the stage were, we're going to support President Obama to do the right thing. And it was this sort of weird juxtaposition between angry people and a positive message on the stage. I don't know if you noticed this, but they called it a rally. And there's a big difference between a protest and a rally.
Yeah, I've been talking about this with some other people. What was there some eye rolling in the crowd? I know. Honestly, if I was there and if someone was, and some of the speakers. I mean, I watched a lot of the speeches online, and I have to admit, on some of these things, it's like, well, we have your back, Mr. President. I have to admit, I was kind of rolling my eyes on this because it really is Obama who's going to be the one who's probably going to make the wrong decision on this.
So there's that disappointing news. I don't know. As a news person, first of all, another interesting thing was it had the feeling of the Democratic convention. Okay, so they played Obama's theme music. There was soaring music and supportive rhetoric, and even the posters that they gave out had Obama's campaign. The little blue circle with the red road or whatever that is, red flag going through it, his campaign logo, and it was adjusted a little to be pro-environmental, but that was on the poster.
It's the no KXL when they use the Obama emblem as the O on it, correct?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about? Yeah.
Right. So I thought it really was reminiscent of the Democratic convention, except for the fact that this time the Occupy Wall Street protesters were taking part in the event instead of protesting it outside. So you had this, this group who is not allied with the Democratic Party, who is basically allied with, I don't know if they would say this, but the restructuring of our political and economic system so that it would be more equitable to the 99%. I don't know if
I think that's a fairly fair assessment.
Fair,
yeah,
right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting to have them marching in a parade and having from the stage those words of, we're going to support President Obama to do this. It was also kind of interesting. I had an interview with the Shock Doctrine author Naomi Klein, who is an amazing woman, both in print and in person. And I got the sense that she was a little bit taken aback with my question about, do you think this is actually going to have an effect? And her response to me, maybe my question pointed her in the wrong direction, but her response to me was, well, we're already having an effect because this was supposed to be, a rubber stamp project, just yes and move along, and now it's at least been slowed down. So the fact that someone who has spoken so plainly about the crisis in our system and the manipulation of our system was able to say, well, we actually have already had an effect, and to have hope coming from a figure like Naomi Klein, I thought, I was not expecting that. I was stunned. I couldn't even ask her a second question because I really just didn't. And your hair looks nice. I mean.
No, I think that's. I mean, it's undeniable that it's had an effect. I mean, without the last protest when it was the 20,000 or so people who surrounded the White House, without a lot of the lawsuits that are going on, this would have been approved already. I mean, I kind of, I'm at the point where I do think Obama is going to approve it. But my personal take on this is, I know that there's this group that's in Texas that I've talked about on the show a ton, the tar sands blockaders, who like do all types of civil disobedience. We have 350.org who are talking about doing escalated civil disobedience. We have civil disobedience in Canada, with all these First Nation people that are doing civil disobedience. I really do think that is where the hope in this actually lies, because I'm at the point where I don't think Obama is going to do the right thing on this, and I hope that I'm wrong.
Well,
I hope that I'm shocked and wrong.
I don't think he's he's the president of the United States, but I'm not sure he's actually in a position to do anything. I think personally that you have a good point, and these people who are doing civil disobedience, that's potentially the only way that anything's going to occur. And it's
I think he does have the power to do it. He ultimately is going to be the one who decides this issue, like because it's crossing the Canadian border. The State Department has the say on whether or not this is the northern part of this pipeline is approved. That is why it's it's different than other things.
He doesn't work in a vacuum. So you approve this, and then the best part about this is happening on his second term. So if he doesn't approve it, it's not like he has to worry about his own personal reelection. But I just know that the oil and gas industry and the fossil fuel industry, that's the big, it's the coctopus. It's not like there will be consequences. I just don't know what they might be, and I hope that President Obama has the fortitude and wiliness to be able to stop this project and also, not have to suffer a tremendous amount of, political consequence.
Well, again, I would think it's like one of these things where, my lack of hope in Obama is pretty clear. He was actually, when the rally was going on, Juliana, he was actually golfing with oil industry people. He was on the golf course literally while those, close to 50,000 people.
I just don't think he's going to do it. It's kind of, it was an interesting thing to be there with my own thoughts, thinking, I don't think this is going to have an effect. But, I wrote a blog on crooksandliars.com, and some of the comments were, this isn't going to have an effect. But my thought is, well, yeah, but I'm not going to sit home. I have to do something. I can't just sit here. So even if it has zero effect, I don't have blood on my hands in this case. And I'm not saying that everyone who didn't go has blood on their hands, because people cannot go. And, we're going there to represent other people who care about this issue. It's just the idea of not protesting and not taking action because it might not have the outcome that you want is not, I don't really think that's a good argument,